You're alive.
Well, welcome in. We are ready to go. We had to shift back because of the Duval rundown with a little bit of a late start. So we figured instead of 9:25, we would go at 10:10. So welcome into a beautiful Friday on the First Coast. Campo and Joe C from XL Primetime, and our head coach, Dave Campo, in his trophy room, fired up and ready to go. Coach, when we sent out the post on X just a little while ago, 6 days away from pick number 5. The countdown is on, Coach. You got to be fired up.
It's about time. I'm ready to
Yeah.
go. I'm excited. This is going to be, I have great faith that this is going to be a great inaugural draft for this club that's going to pay dividends. I feel good about this group. Obviously, I'm an optimist by nature.
Yeah.
But I just think all that energy over there is starting to pay off already with me, and that's good.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so as we set up our show today, we appreciate anybody who jumps on the stream, who hangs out with us wherever we're pushing it out on social, wherever you take in your 1010 XL intel. We definitely appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Now, you can jump in the comments section real easy, throw some thoughts our way. Yoda, we like to call him, but Jacob's producing the show, and he'll throw some comments up on the screen if you guys throw some good ones our way. So it's real easy to do it, and we love your thoughts, especially as we are 6 days away from pick number 5. Now, let's do two things real quick because you and I, Coach, both have mock drafts. And by the way, just go ahead and tell everybody, this was your very first mock draft, right?
Yeah, I don't like them because I can't get exactly who I want. But at the same time, you got to make a pick. That's the great thing about it.
All right, so you speak from experience. So tell everybody, like we have these mock draft simulators. We use Pro Football Network for this one, but there's a bunch of other ones that you can go to. But you as a coach who's been in war rooms before, just give people a sense of what it is like once that clock starts, kind of what's going on.
Well, it's just like everything else when you talk about being successful. If you're prepared, then it's not that stressful. Even though you're on the clock for a short period of time, the only thing that gets stressful is when somebody proposes a trade on the actual pick itself, when you have to make that decision quickly. Usually with the early rounds, those things are done pretty much ahead of time, a few picks before, that type of thing, to where you have time to digest it. But what you're doing, as we've talked about a number of times, you have a bundle of guys in a area that you feel good grade-wise. And, when it's time for you to pick, hopefully one of those guys is there. And obviously you have those guys ranked as well. Even though the grades may be similar, the need may be a little higher on your top 5 there at that particular pick. So, you have to make some decisions. Do you move back if somebody offers a trade? Do you stick with what you've got? And it can be a little stressful, but if you're prepared, I think it's a lot easier.
All right, so as we start going through our draft, we know who the big names are at the top, and all of a sudden, Ashton Jeanty has definitely picked up some steam as one of the guys that Jacksonville may be focused in on. Even Pete Prisco was throwing out that idea yesterday when he was on 1010 XL. We already have him on the chat screaming, Jeanty, all caps, of course, fired up and ready to go. So you have to think about a guy like that. You got to think about skill position guys. But let's just go to the first 4 picks, Coach, real quick. And a couple of things have happened since the last time we were on our stream show. The Shedeur Sanders private workout with the New York Giants definitely at least lends some conversation to the possibility they may go quarterback ahead of Jacksonville and leave some good players to choose from. Shedeur's out there. Aaron Rodgers is also out there. He gets on Pat McAfee yesterday and basically tells the tale about how the Jets treated him like crap. Okay, it was just classic the way he was talking about it. He flew cross country, paid for it on his own dime, and they ran him out. Anyway, he's like, but he did say that he had visited with a handful of teams, the Steelers being one of the big names, and then the Giants as well were also mentioned, Coach. Is it possible that the Giants could hit the Shador workout first, or is it possible that they look at the Aaron Rodgers angle?
Well, I think that's a big decision. I mean, I think that really it depends on, who might be there at that third pick in the draft, of how important that pick is compared to, going with a quarterback. And I think they wanted to be absolutely sure they know Aaron Rodgers. They know what they're getting there. They know that, obviously he's not the same Aaron Rodgers that he's been, but he is still a viable quarterback that gives them a chance to be better this year than they've been. There's no doubt in my mind on that. I don't think there is in theirs either. But they're also looking at the future. And obviously Aaron Rodgers is not the future. So they brought Shador Sanders in there to make sure that what they see in him is what they're going to get. And obviously it comes down to what they see on film. But at the same time, when you get them up close and personal, that arm strength, that ability athletically is a little bit closer and a little easier to evaluate. So I think that's the reason they did it. I have no idea what direction they're going to go, but it's hard to pass up on a young quarterback if you think he is the future. And that's the key to what they're doing with Shador Sanders.
Yeah, it's funny because they are right now just trying to shake things up a little bit and make people think this is possible, this is possible, this is possible. And the examples that I'll give is that they went to the private workout with Shador Sanders. They also are taking a look at Tyler Shuck, the grown man from Louisville who's mid-20s right now and has gone through some fairly serious injuries in his college career, but dude can ball. He is a good prospect at the quarterback position, may go late first, could go in the second round. But anyway, Brian Dable and company working out. Shook looking at Shador and looking at Jalen Milroe. So they're basically throwing a lot of stuff up against the wall saying, hey, we may go in the first round with quarterback. We may go in the second round with quarterback. We may go a little bit later with Jalen Milroe because we have the Russ Wilson backup plan already in place.
Well, there's a lot of smoke out there, and again, I could be completely wrong, but, I love Ashton Genty, for example. Okay. Yeah. He's probably in that mix of the top 5 or 6 or 7, whatever it is. But in my opinion, with the Jaguars, for an example, I can't see them making that pick. But I'm certainly going to smoke it out there that there's a possibility because somebody might come up to get him at that 5th pick, and now all of a sudden you're backing up a little bit, getting some more quality picks, and now you're in pretty good shape. So there's a lot of smoke out there. That's why it's so difficult for us as prognosticators to make decisions on who's going to take what, but it's also difficult on the teams as well.
All right, so let's get to the draft luncheon that the Jaguars had earlier this week with James Gladstone. I'm now calling him Harry Potter, and it's an affectionate term, Coach. I don't know a whole lot about Harry Potter, but he's a youngster that is now given the keys to this franchise, and he's fired up and ready to go. He dropped that buzz term, intangibly rich, on us a bunch, and we hope that it is for real what he's looking at beyond the tape. But at the same time, you still need to go find players that are good on tape as well. He's just trying to match up that extra bit of DNA in the player that will come in here and play hard. He and Liam Cohen sat at the luncheon and said a couple of key things, and I do think Jacksonville should pay attention to the fact that they're paying attention to it. They have fully declared that these lines of scrimmage were inferior, that they weren't tough enough, that they weren't physically tough enough, they weren't mentally tough enough, and they didn't get the job done. That, out of anything I took from the pre-draft luncheon comments, I love that.
What you're going to see in the draft, to me, is one of the keys to developing a successful franchise. And that's that the head coach and the GM on the same page.
Right.
That's one. And number two, those people have to have exactly what they want that team to look like. And I think that's one thing that they brought out. There's no question that physicality, toughness, the front, all those things are extremely important. And to me, you look at what Detroit's done, that's exactly what Detroit did. Their coaching staff and their GM had an idea. And I go back all the way to Jimmy Johnson. We knew exactly what that team should look like. And that's the guys we picked on the early drafts. And so my whole feeling there is that they're serious. One thing about Gladstone, I think I'm fairly smart. He's a lot smarter than I am because he uses bigger words than I do. I've heard more big words coming out of those guys. And I hope for sure that's means that they're dialed into exactly what they want.
Yeah, he definitely is an educated man. He's got a good book of big words. The thesaurus is in full tilt right now with him. But I also like it. Look, he's. I don't think he's faking it. This is who he is. He is one smart cat that approaches things a little differently. They declared that between the two of them, Gladstone and Liam, that they're going after that type of player. They came up with the phrase, the intangibly rich, together, and they feel like they need to find guys that go beyond the tape, that will do that extra bit of work or make that big play in the big moment. And hell, I love it because the deeper you go in the draft, Coach, and you know this with the great Larry Brown story as a 12th round draft pick that became an MVP, you can't let up on your draft board. You need to keep hunting for the best possible situation player-wise to bring onto your football team.
Well, Larry Brown's a great example of intangibly rich. I mean, and that's one thing that again, sometimes you can tell on the film exactly what kind of guy, how the guy is made up, what he's, does he love football and all those kind of things. There are two things. I saw Larry Brown in person, and I saw his work ethic and how he had confidence in himself and all those things. Well, they haven't had those workouts. So you have to get it from the scouts. And talking to people, and you have to talk to a bunch of people to get that done. My other thought on that is, to me, what they're doing is absolutely the right thing, because when you look at the way things are today with NIL on the high school level, NIL on the college level, okay, it's going to be more difficult, in my opinion, to find those intangibly rich guys and be sure of it. If you find them, take them if they've got the ability that you're looking for, because there's going to be less of them. There's going to be more, what can you do for me rather than what I can do for you? And I think that's something that, looking for those tough guys, physical guys that love the game, all those things are more important today than they've ever been.
All right, so here's a good question, because this is fair. This is what's going to go on with the new regime. Box King chiming in. You guys can hit the comment section and throw a thought our way, just as far as where you think this team is headed now under the new leadership. And the question is simple: is Trevor Lawrence intangibly rich, considering he came out saying football is not what he loves? Well, that's your interpretation, Box King, because all he said was it didn't determine who he was, or it wasn't the end-all, end-all. And look, these young cats today, very philosophic. He's basically looking at it like, I'm going to think of myself and my family first. Do I want to win? Hell yes, but it's not going to be the only thing that defines me. So look, I never took that as him saying he does not love the game of football.
And I don't either. I think, again, it's compete. Do you compete? Do you finish plays? Are you tough? Are you physical? He has all those things. He's a competitor. Now, maybe he needs to get a little bit more to the point where he's doing enough to where everybody looks at him that he's the man
Yahtzee.
He's the leader. He's the guy, and he gets in that huddle that there's no question that the thing that it's going to finish, just like an offensive lineman finishing a block.
Yeah.
Is that quarterback that kind of guy? We had a guy in Troy Aikman.
Mm-hmm.
David Garrard, believe it or not, right here in Jacksonville. That's who he was when I was here with him.
Right.
Leftwich. That's the way those guys were.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that, Liam Cohen is going to bring out in this young man if it's not there already.
Right. And if nothing else, I love the comment that it now is a fair question. Trevor has all the talent to play the position at a very high level. His skill set, immeasurable right now, just in terms of arm strength, the ability to take off and run, the decision making. But from that intangible department, he is going to be asked by Liam, like you're saying, Coach, to do a little bit more, to reach down a little bit more, practice a little bit more, give a little bit more, make some better decisions, work on your footwork. All those things are going to make him a better football player.
And to finish that, I know guys on the staff at Tampa Bay, and they've told me that Liam, and he even said it somewhere, I don't even know where, but they've told me that Liam had a very hard conversation with Baker Mayfield about what was happening off the field and what was happening on the field.
Nice.
And you can see the results that he's gotten from Baker. So I have confidence that whole same thing is going to go on here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, it really is. It's taking the elevator up 1, 2, 3 more floors in terms of what you're capable of. Gladstone and Liam basically have said they want to raise the floor talent-wise on this roster, and the other guys need to go find another level. And this is Clichéville from Joe C., but still, that's basically what it is that they've got to figure out how to become a more complete, a more dynamic player in the most important situations. All right, Coach, are you ready? Are you ready to unveil a couple of the first couple of rounds of your mock draft?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Based on what we're talking about, based on we still don't know what the New York Football Giants are going to do. We threw our hat in the ring, Pro Football Network with their draft simulator. The first pick, it's obvious, but it may not be obvious. The way my board fell, Mason Graham once again pops up at number 5, and it's hard to argue with that. One of the draft analysts on ESPN put Mason Graham as his 3rd best prospect in the draft. That's ahead of an Ashton Jeanty, ahead of a handful of other big names that you would expect at the top, including Cam Ward, who Jordan Reed has as his 8th best prospect. But Mason Graham comes off the board at number 5 for me. Who did you take in the first round, Coach?
I took Mason Graham. And the reason I took Mason Graham, I don't really care what the analysts say about him, watching him on film. The only negative I have on him, well, let me hit the positive first.
Okay, yeah.
He's his hands, his quickness, ex-wrestler, ability to slip blocks, get off blocks, hand quickness, those kind of things are all very, very good. He's a disruptor. He's a guy that with a few more moves will be a great inside pass rusher, and he's relentless. Mm-hmm. And that's the motor is what sells me. The only negative on him, he has at times comes off a little bit high, and he's not 320 pounds. He's 305, 7, give or take. I think he's going to continue to have to continue with the strength part of it, but he also has ability to split the double team because of his quickness and his hand speed.
Okay, one number that kind of caught me, and I can't help but gravitate to that position because that position needs as much help as any other on this football team based on what they didn't do in free agency, based on what they do have. One more year of Eric Armstead. Mason Smith, is he or isn't he a guy that you could start to build the interior defensive line around? Mason Graham makes a heck of a lot of sense. I still love the idea of getting a big to play next to whoever that guy is, but you as well as you're a defensive man. You need rotation strength interiorly. It's not just going to be one cat that's manning that spot. So Mason Graham, but this is the one thing that got me just a little bit, Coach, and I'm going to compare him to another guy that I saw a little further down the draft board. 19 pressures this year from Mason Graham, which is only tied for 21st in the FBS at defensive tackle. That worried me just a little bit.
Yeah, and again, that doesn't bother me because I've seen his ability and what he can do.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing to me is, everybody says we got to stop the run around here. The strength part of it, I think he's strong. He's powerful in his hands, and he's powerful in his lower body. I'm just not sure about how strong he is up top, but at the same time, he's going to get off blocks and run things down. I don't know about pressures. I think that will come with, because of his abilities. So right. I'm fine with the pick. I'll go with that, no question. Yeah,
and just for his counterpart, Kenneth Grant, which a lot of people love, and I certainly do as well, is one of the guys that if they didn't go Mason Graham at D tackle in the first round, and Grant just somehow or another is around that 36th pick, they would look at him because he plays that one technique, 40 snaps in 10 games last season. So the workload was there. Average time to first pressure was 2.81 seconds. That's 43rd among the FBS defensive linemen. And look, we can take metrics and throw him right out the window if we say, hey, I don't give a damn. He's a ball player. But I still like the idea of looking at a guy like that. I'm going to throw one more at you. But what do you think about that number from Kenneth Grant?
I like him. And what I was going to tell you is, I'm going to save it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to save it for the second pick, the 36th pick. Okay. But Grant, he is, you're talking about Grant now, right?
Yeah.
Obviously he's a good football player. I think he disappears here and there. He's not one of those relentless guys. But as far as handing the point, he's got it. And that's an area that we've had a little bit of a struggle with. So, obviously we'd have to back up. I don't think he's a fifth pick in the draft, to be perfectly with you.
Yeah, he would definitely come later in the draft. All right, so we have Mason Graham at the top. So go ahead and give me your second round draft choice for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, the interesting thing is in this draft, and of course, the more mock drafts you do on the internet, different guys are picked and different guys are available when you get down to that pick. Okay. Grant was there at that pick. Now I've already taken Graham. So I did not pick Grant, although I was tempted, being a defensive guy, to get both of those two guys. Because when I watched them on film, I liked them both. I went with Donovan Jackson, offensive guard from Ohio State University. 6'4", 315 pounds, great lateral ability, clean sets, active hands. I love his hands, and he's really powerful, physical. And guess what? He could possibly be a center. He's versatile.
I think it's the real deal. And it's funny, Coach, that either I'm drafting off of your picks or you're drafting off of mine, but I have Donovan Jackson also in that second round, pick number 36. He's 315 pounds. He's 6'4". I love what you said about him, just the ability to cross-train and the fact that he had to switch to left tackle. Now, there's one other guy that's being talked about a bunch with Ohio State, and it's Josh Simmons. And he had a knee injury, and they think that he easily, if the medicals check out, he could be mid to late first rounder, Coach?
Yes, as a matter of fact, that would have been my selection, in my opinion, if he had been there. But in my mock, he was gone. He went in the first round.
Yeah.
So, but with Jackson, the thing that sticks out to me, versatile and powerful.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm looking for at that offensive guard position. He comes in and starts, in my opinion, at left guard.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, Ezra, take a seat. And so I do agree with that. 2 sacks given up in 10 games at tackle by Donovan Jackson. The 2 that he gave up were both to Abdul Carter. Go figure. That guy's pretty good. And so he does look like he could be an interior lineman and immediately, like you're describing. And then let's just see where that tackle position goes. All right, good stuff there. So those are our first two. Let's keep it going. You guys got a thought? Definitely let us know as far as where you might be looking with that second round pick. Let's move on to the third and the fourth round, Coach.
Okay, you want me to go or you want to go first?
No,
It's up to me.
you go third and fourth round.
Me.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 70 pick is a young man from TCU.
Okay.
His name is Jack Betch.
It's
He is a
unbelievable.
wide receiver, 6'1", 214. He's physical, versatile. He has great body control, soft hands, good ball skills, and this guy's a fighter. He fights for yards. He fights for the ball. I like him. I think his ability to play a number of different positions. He can play inside, outside, which is exactly what they're looking for with Liam Cohen's system. Okay,
I love it. We did.
Right, you want to go fourth round now? I mean, the fourth pick?
Because I'll just tell you this: we are now 3 for 3.
Look at that.
Picking the exact same guy, and I love that guy. So go ahead, hit the number 88 pick.
This one might surprise you, okay? Because I'm going with Jerry Jones being the starting corner opposite our number one guy.
Okay.
So I'm taking Andrew Makuba, safety from Texas. 5'11", 186, ball skills, great route ability to see the field, to process quickly. He's going to need a little bit of weight, which I think that's going to be something that he will continue to do. But listen, with that weight situation, he is a heat-seeking missile. He'll miss a few tackles here or there, but you better be ready to get hit because he will hit you. And he's got really good ball skills. I like him. Again, I'm a little nervous about the corner position, but I felt that he was too good to pass up at that spot.
Yeah, it's funny because you're trying to figure out, and like we said, there's holes everywhere. So you going in that direction is not a bad move at all. All right, I went with Deone Walker, the big defensive lineman interiorly for the Kentucky Wildcats. He can sit or line up next to Mason Graham. He's a big human being. And so he's a guy that battled some injuries, back concerns. I don't want to necessarily walk a guy in that has that, but we're talking 6'7", 331 pounds, Coach, 7.5 sacks, 13 tackles for loss. And I definitely like him. You're going to, if they do get him in the fourth round, I think they're getting a value player. So I'm all about that.
I know the guy, and to be honest with you, he's a really good pick in that spot.
Yeah,
I like your pick.
Yeah, because I'm trying to shore up the interior, man. I don't want to get my ass kicked over and over and over by everyone else's run game.
Yeah,
and I want to
Campanile said everybody knows a good ass kicking.
All right, let's go. Pick 107, pick 125. That is as we move along, they had 2 third-round draft picks. We're into the fourth round. I like Billy Bowman. You had already picked a guy in the secondary. I picked the safety out of Oklahoma. And I tell you, I'll admit it, Coach, I just like his name first and foremost, but he's got pretty good numbers. 5'9", 192 pounds. He's another one of those guys that you're looking just for instinctually to play the position. Good defensive back. He can do a lot of things for you. And I think we're having some crossover safety play right now in the game. So I think he's got pass cover skills and he can be physical.
Yeah, I agree. He's a good player. I just liked Makuba a little bit better. I didn't want to lose him in that spot. Yeah. And I think we really need some help back there for sure. The thing that excited me more about Makuba is he's a really quick, as I said earlier, he's a quick processor, and he's a guy that can find the football and get where he's supposed to get, which I think we've been missing a little bit. My pick in that spot. You want to go to the next one, or do you want me to get?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cam Scatterbo, running back, Arizona State University, pick number 107. I love this guy. And let me tell you why. He is intangibly rich.
Yes, he is.
This guy is a block of granite. He runs over you. He's physical. He's tough. He's one of those guys that just believes he's by far the best. He thinks he should have been the Heisman Trophy winner, and maybe he should have been, because he was their offense. And I guarantee you that he comes in and he reminds me a little bit of Stewart, the running back from Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Only the difference is he can catch the ball out of the backfield. So you're getting a complete guy with this guy. And listen, he's a explosive player, and I like him. And I think that you got one more year probably with ETN.
Yeah,
I think he comes in and he's a starter very quickly.
Yeah, Scatterboo was so fun with the Sun Devils run into the college football playoffs. So, I tell you what, Coach, he will become a cult hero in Duval if Scatterboo makes his way from the desert to Duval. All right.
One other thing with him, he was so arrogant that I didn't like him, actually.
Yeah.
But I love him on my team.
That's what you want. You want a guy that's an instigator and just constantly ruffles feathers, makes people either play out of control to try and take his head off or whatever. But this guy, like you said, he's a battering ram. He's got some MJD in him. He's got a lot of, I think, a lot of positives. I went with Smail Mondon Jr. Out of Georgia. And I feel like we are ignoring the linebacker position. So I like the ability that this guy brings from that linebacker spot, 6'2", 224. Definitely a lot of physical play, experienced linebacker, a bunch of tackles in a Georgia Bulldog uniform. And then after that, I went with pick 142 from right here on the First Coast, Jalen Rivers, who played down at Miami. But he's a guy that comes in, I think, late in this draft. There's nothing wrong with me going and getting a 6'5", 320-pounder that's played both tackle and guard. So that's where I went. Jalen Rivers, who comes back to the First Coast with pick number 142.
Okay, so you went 126 and 142 you were talking now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, 126. This is going to be a little controversial one. I have a little skins in the game because I know this young man's dad. I know what he's made of. I kind of like him. I'm looking for another guy that can give Trevor Lawrence an opportunity to get the ball to somebody, especially inside. Yeah. And that's Oronde Gadsden, tight end, flex tight end from Syracuse. His father was there when I was at Syracuse. So this is a little bit of a combination of, I know the background of the family. Oronde is a roll pass catcher.
Yeah.
73 catches for 934 yards. I like that.
Yeah.
And he's a guy that he got game speed. He's a great inside target. So I really like him at 126. And again, I even toyed with maybe taking a tight end a little earlier, but I just felt that this was the time to take one. And he's really a flex. He's a guy that kind of the Ingram type of a guy.
Right.
Now,
then hit 142.
And then 142, I went with Corey Black.
Okay.
Safety, cornerback from Oklahoma State. And the reason I went with him, 4.35 speed, and I didn't have a corner. And I was thinking I should have taken one a little earlier, but the guy's got good speed. He's a guy that he's 6 foot, 192, and he showed some real good things in the Big 12. So I really like him.
And just for what it's worth, let's see here who's putting this out. Aaron Wilson is putting this out on X. I think this was yesterday that he put it out. That Corey Black, yes, is getting a lot of attention, multiple visits, and these are Zoom visits or whatever, not in-person visits, because Jacksonville's not having those. But the Jaguars among a number of teams that are taking a look at him. So you might be onto something, Coach. They want that type of instinctual, physical play at that position. All right, let's wrap it up.
Oh,
The
and
last
let
two.
me finish. Let me finish real quick on him.
Yeah.
He's a fifth year. He's a fifth-year senior.
Okay.
So that guy's played a lot of football,
Yeah.
and I like that. So that's part of it.
Yeah, you want a guy that comes in heady, experienced. He's seen a lot of plays come his way. He's handled it well. I went tight end with 182, Mitchell Evans out of Notre Dame, and I do think that's another guy. Even though it's a little late in the game, and I'm certainly not expecting the guys that they brought in to man the positions, but here's a guy that's 6'5", 260 pounds. He made plays. He can be an inline blocker. So I do think he kind of represents that physical inline guy and a guy that can get open. And then I went with another offensive lineman late, Connor Colby out of Iowa. They kick out some good offensive linemen. We know that. So I went with him with pick 194 as I kind of wrapped up my draft there. All right. What about you, Coach? All right. I'm not seeing Coach right now. Hopefully he'll be back in the stream here in just 1 second. But I do think when you're talking about a guy that you draft late and an interior lineman, if you get a guy like Connor Colby to step in and do something for you, competing at those positions, we already said that you're looking at this football team replacing possibly an Ezra Cleveland, replacing some key guys on that offensive line. I don't care how deep they go in the draft. Get the job done. All right, we lost Coach, so let's wrap up our Campo and Joe stream every Friday, especially next Friday. We hope that you are with us because we're going to be talking about the Jaguars' first-round pick and did they jump back in the first round and make something else happen. So I know all of y'all are going to love it. We'll be on XL Primetime later. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks to Coach. Thanks to Yoda. Jacob for always doing a great job. And either 9:25 or 10:10 next week, we'll be back with you right here on Campo and Joe.